Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Real Estate Professors back with episode 2. I am your host, Sang Kim, back with my man Ed, Breaking Windows Park. We've had a long, eventful week. I've been trying to finish up my flip. Ed's been out of town. He had a very sweet vacation. Why don't you kind of tell him a little bit about what happened at that vacation?
Yeah, so I went to the Bay Area and I got to see LeBron versus Steph, Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. We had some really nice seats.
Why don't you tell him about those seats?
We were sitting right behind Dave Chappelle.
Who?
Dave
Chappelle, folks.
Dave Chappelle. Took some photos. I'll put some pictures up there. But all because of real estate, I can afford some of those nice.
Very
seats there.
nice, very nice. Those are very nice seats. Game 5 of the Warriors and Lakers game, guys. Imagine those seats. Those are nice seats. But let's kind of hop into. So Ed, could you outline some of the key advantages of investing in residential real estate for us?
Yes, so there's several advantages for investors. You have the appreciation over time. You have a lot of cash flow on the property. You can also have tax advantages. You can write off mortgage interest, property taxes, and also you can leverage through financing for a lot of these residential properties. And since it's residential, you have access to a large pool of properties as opposed to commercial. So depending on the deal, the bank will look at the rental income, things of that nature, to basically approve for an investment property. But let's have Sang go into more detail about what the cash flow and the appreciation over time looks like for residential real estate.
Yeah. So some of the great advantages are everybody that wants to build wealth for themselves and be financially free one day is that you do need multiple streams of income, and one of them can obviously be positive cash flow through residential rental properties. And one of the great benefits of this is that banks will actually are very easy to lend, even in a time like we're living in right now, where there is a debt crisis and banks are kind of really tightening on their practices of lending. They actually lend to strong rental properties because there's already a lease in place and they know what they're getting with the rents and the area comps and everything else. So one of the great advantages of holding a property instead of holding money in your 401k and some of these other investment tools is that you have something that produces you a monthly income every single month. So you can always guarantee yourself $500, $800, or whatever it is that you're making on that property, depending on how you leverage it, right? So one of the key factors in how things appreciate over time is how much you put down and how much cash flow you're getting. So most people think of appreciation strictly in the sense of like the market needs to go up for your property value to just, go up 10%, 15% like we've been seeing over the last couple of years. But obviously, you and I both know that's not sustainable as far as market appreciation, because there's some years where your appreciation is actually going to depreciate. Or your property is actually going to depreciate. So my big thing with holding properties is you hold them for a long time and you pay down your debt service. And so when you pay down your debt service, your equity is just going to climb. And so that's kind of how you build your nest egg of appreciation, where you don't have to rely on the market. So there's a statistic out there that says if you pay down your debt service an extra $100 a month on a 30-year note, you're actually going to shave about 7 years off that note, just paying down $100 more towards the principal. That's all varying on how much your actual loan amount is, obviously. But so for your average loan of, if your payment is like in the range of $1,500 to $2,000 a month, if you pay an extra $100 in principal, that's where you're really going to shave how long it takes you to pay off that property. And the greater your cash flow, that's where you're really going to see the steady climb of your income and one step closer to financial freedom.
That's a great point. So when you look at residential real estate, Sang, like, what are some of the very important factors that potential investors have to focus on when they evaluate?
So I think primarily everybody should really key in on job growth. in the area. I think you need to focus on what amenities may be coming, what companies may be coming to the certain area where in Dallas Fort Worth we have Universal Studios coming not too far from us, and so it may be a great time for us to kind of park our money in some smaller homes in the area for some short-term rentals. That's also been a very lucrative play these days with the Airbnbs, Verbos, and such. So that's another thing I look strongly at this in my local area when I invest is I look at the school district and whether that school district is a outstanding one historically or it's a very up and coming one because the area is kind of changing and the demographic of that area is kind of changing from what used to be a poorer neighborhood to suddenly all of a sudden a lot of out-of-staters are coming, especially Californians, to certain areas in our market. So that's kind of a few of the things that we here in Dallas-Fort Worth look for primarily, and I think you can take that to any submarket in America. Ed, why don't you kind of tell them on what you are looking for and some of the things that you look for and how you invest in those specific areas?
Yeah, so my two key things are I look for employment growth and population growth. And strictly speaking about Dallas-Fort Worth, some of the latest statistics, for example, the unemployment rate in the U.S. right now is at 3.8%. Dallas-Fort Worth, and especially like Collin County, it's hovering at 3.4 and 3.1. So the unemployment is actually lower than the national average, which is quite historical at this time. And also from last year, in March of 2023, back into 2022, there was about a 5% increase in employment growth in the DFW area, which is magnificent. I mean,
those are big numbers.
Yeah. So I mean, if I had to make any bets, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is going to be, I believe, the #1 market in the U.S. Period.
Pretty soon,
hands down.
So,
yeah. So it's great growth. Population, again, Dallas is scheduled as #1 quantity-wise. You have folks flocking from the East Coast, the West Coast, a lot of people from California, New Jersey, New York, all coming down, even from the Midwest actually too. So they come here for a multitude of reasons, and predominantly for better paying jobs and for lower living costs. And that's one of the main factors that drive people here. And in turn, property values will go up because they can't hit that demand. So
that's something that we were speaking on just a little while ago in the video. Is cash flow versus appreciation. It may not cash flow as well as some areas like Baltimore does, where it's more urban and a little bit the demographics different there, and there's not as much job growth there. But what the play is here a little bit is kind of if you've held on to anything in Dallas or Texas for that matter in the last couple of years, we've seen our home values go up by 20-30%. And that's a lot of different areas in the country right now, but ours have actually held. So like California and some of these other places, yeah, they may have seen a 60% jump, but they're also experiencing 40% crash right now. So our property taxes, as you know, we just got done paying them not too long ago, have jumped substantially. I mean, thank God for Homestead, right? Like, I mean, otherwise it would have doubled or tripled almost at this point if you've held your house for longer than a 5-year period in Dallas. So it's a really appreciation play, more so than a cash flow play at this point. Like we were talking about in our last video, if you can get a 1% rule in Dallas, I think you're pretty good. You know, so you're looking for 1% minimum, and that's 1% of your total purchase price in total gross rent for monthly. So if you go by the 1% rule, I think you're really good. You won't miss there. And then on the back end, you're really looking for appreciation, because what you can do with that appreciation in 2 years or whatever you want to do with it, you can actually start at 6 months. If you have a tenant, the bank will actually refinance you and you can go reappreciate your home within 6 months of purchasing it. So that's what a lot of people do, a lot of investors do. I'm actually thinking about doing that with my own property that I'm working on right now in Fort Worth, is holding on to it for about 6 months, filling it with a tenant, cash flow it for a little bit, and then get it reappraised for way more, because I've put about $75,000 into it right now. So it should probably appreciate for, I'm guessing around 200,000 more than what I paid for it. So what I'm gonna do is probably leave about 25, 30% equity in it and then try to pull out the rest because it appraises for so much higher. And then we're gonna go work on a different property. So that's kind of some of the things that we've gotten into as far as how we identify properties, especially here locally. But that's something that you guys can take away in your markets. And if you guys have questions, please hit that comment below, and we'll get back to you with our advice on how you should handle your market.
Okay. So financing is by far the most important aspect of real estate investing because nobody's going to just give you a property for free. But there's many ways of going through that. Some of the financing options are traditional mortgages. You have private lenders. You have partnerships. So this can be done on multifamily units, single family units. The private lenders tend to be more flexible and give you more options when you don't qualify for conventional loans. Or you could do partnership or syndication deals where a pool of investors come together and pull their resources together to basically take down a larger residential property, such as a multifamily. I know Sang has a couple commercial properties that he uses conventional financing through.
Yep.
Do you want to expand a little bit more on what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have several properties, but what Ed was speaking about was the commercial end of it. I know we're kind of trying to stick to the residential portion, so I'm going to kind of dive into my past experiences with the residential side of lending and the type of financing that I've gotten. So I've done it several ways. I've actually gotten hard money, private money before, where they put a lien on your house. It's faster, it's instant. So what they do is you just hold the deposit, you give it to them, they identify the property, they'll come out and appraise it just like a bank would. They go to their bank, actually get the money from their bank who they have a credit line with. It could be several $1,000,000 from a private lender or a hard money lender as they like to call themselves. So what they'll do is they'll get, say, 6% on a 6-month construction loan. And then they'll turn around and give it to you at 12%. So I've actually had to do this for one of my houses in White Rock. It was a larger house. I think the value of that home these days is around closer to $1 million. When I was working on it, it was closer to 600-700K. Still a larger property in its own right, value-wise. And so I actually had some new construction projects going on with my home building company. We were actually working on a flip in Flower Mound that was completely cashed. And then I was building 2 custom homes, both over $1.5 million in value. And I did those conventionally, where I actually bought the land in cash, and then I pulled a construction loan from the equity of the land. So what we had to do was put together a whole package, showing them architecture, all the blueprint work, what we thought that it was going to sell for. We had to put a whole presentation package together and find a lender that would finance it, and they would go out and basically scope the area and see if it was worth it for them. We've done conventional financing through a land equity deal that way, and then back to the private lending. I had all that going on at the same time, so I was a little bit short. I found a great property in White Rock, but I was a little bit short on cash at the time. I was kind of over leveraged, to be honest with you, and I probably wouldn't do that again. So I went hard money on that one. I got it at about 12%. He got it probably at 6 or 7% from his bank, so he was making 5% a month on me. It was a short-term loan. It was supposed to be 6 months, no longer than 6 months. I actually closed it out in 4 or 5 months because 2 months worth of construction, and then I think it sat on the market for about a month and a half, and then a month for closing. So I was in and out of there about 5 months, so I didn't take the full 6 months. So that's another way of doing it. If you need to get into a rental property quickly, you can always go private money or hard money, and they'll kind of give you the money up front so that you can get into the property right away. And then what you can go turn around and do is refinance that through your own bank conventionally, where it's not a short-term loan. You can go take that and turn that into a 30-year loan or 15-year loan, just like you do with your primary residence. such as your house. I won't dive into my commercial loans because we're just kind of trying to stay on the topic of residential, but that's kind of how you can get into it. On my flip right now, I'm not sure what the market's gonna do. I'm in it about 300K. I'm gonna try to be out at 500K. That's my goal. My out number is 500, but if we can only get like 400, and that's what the market is telling me on it, I'm actually gonna just try to rent it, as we talked about last episode, and then go the BRRRR method, which is buy, rehab, refinance method, and then cash out, and then go use that money 6 months later on down the line, because I have to at least hold it for 6 months with the tenant in it before the bank will refinance that property, and I can take about 70% equity of whatever they appraise it at. So let's say they appraise it at 400,000. I have 300,000 in. I take out my equity that I've built in it, and then I go start on another project that way. So these are some of the formats in which you can kind of get into your first rental properties, or maybe your second or third. So Ed, why don't you? We've actually identified a great property. It's technically classified commercial, but it's more multifamily. It's out of state in Ed's neck of the woods in Baltimore. It's a great cash flowing property. Why don't you kind of tell them a little bit about the property we've identified?
Yeah, so this property is in Baltimore City. It's trading a little bit over $1 million. It's in near Charles Village, which is my neck of the woods. It's my favorite area in Baltimore City. But we'll put more details in a link below. We'd love to have partners on the deal. So if you're interested, please DM us directly, or just comment below asking for more for details. So look forward to that.
So basically, guys, with these things, when we identify properties, sometimes we have so many projects going on that we can't take. Ed likes to take these things down in cash. So this is why sometimes we will reach out for partnerships, because if you want to get into real estate investing, but you don't have the time and you don't want to just dive into an industry that you're unfamiliar with, and it's scary, guys. It's taken us years of sometimes losing money our first go rounds or second go rounds, where we had to, kind of start over and hit that reset button. So if you guys, the reason why we're putting this out there is if you guys don't want to have to learn a whole brand new industry, we are here, and we like to manage, and this is what we do on a daily. So it's very passive in that format if you choose to partner with us in some of these things. So it can be a great way, a great tool, a great resource for you guys, where you have side cash flow income without laying a finger, and you're going to get a check every 3 months or so, and however we want to format that. And so we're always looking. We're always looking for properties. We're trying to cut out that time of where you go out and have to identify properties, or it's so wide, right, Ed? Like the range is so wide, and sometimes even your realtors will give you misinformation and misguiding you because they just kind of want to close you on a sale, and they'll tell you that an area is better than it is, or they'll tell you that the rental rates are better than it is. And if you can't identify that for yourselves without seeing it on paper and seeing the stats of what it is and how we identify things and how we break down things, you can get yourself into a really bad investment. And with real estate, you're parking large sums of money, Ed. And you can't pull that money out tomorrow. If your kids need to go to college and you need that money for tuition or whatever, that money doesn't come back tomorrow. So you need to make sure, if you're sticking any decent amount of money into an investment, that, hey, you know where you're parking that money. And so I think that's really important. So if you want more information about it, like Ed said, we're going to put it, just reach out to us and shoot us an email. We're going to put our email down in the comments below. So, and we'll send you some information on that. But why don't we get into our next segment, and that's some tips for successful real estate, residential real estate investing. Yeah.
Okay. So just to wrap up today, guys, there's a couple of key things about investing in residential real estate. First off, you have to educate yourself. That's what we're here for. You have to start building a network, and this is why we're here as well. We analyze the deals, and hey, we're doing all the legwork. That's what we're here for. And then you got to plan for contingencies, like bad stuff happens. And again, this is like almost like a full service shop here at this point. You got to stay updated. You got to keep an eye out on the market. So there's a lot of things they have to watch out for. And then you have to think about getting a property manager, a professional property manager. So again, like I've been saying, like this is what we do. This is our passion. We've been doing it for many years. Again, we're going to ID a property and put it down on the link. If you have any questions or concerns or just some general questions about it, feel free to reach out. Sang, you want to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, that's kind of concludes episode 2, residential real estate investing. This is the Real Estate Professors. We're signing off. See you later, guys.
Goodbye.